So Smilegate finally released what they're actually changing about ELVIRA, and they actually talk about what you guys can actually recall her for and how long that recall period is. If you guys didn't know, ELVIRA was getting abused after release. She got released a couple of days ago, and she kind of had this like permanent immortality thing, and it was very annoying because games would just last forever in World Arena, which she wasn't banned in for some reason. Like usually new units are global banned, but she wasn't. And in Guild Wars, she was also 1v3ing teams very easily. And also in Abyss, she was like soloing super hard bosses that you were stuck on. So basically, she was getting abused by a lot of players. Now, they're not doing like a rollback or anything. They're just going to do something called a recall, which you can actually turn her in for a non-limited, non-collab unit of your choice. But yes, as you guys can see here, balance adjustment, we're going to see that pretty much all of her skills are getting changed. And because of that, they are giving us the opportunity to actually switch her out for another non-limited, non-collab 5-star RGB unit. So her S1 was actually a 100% chance to dispel one buff. Now what it actually is, it's a 75% chance to provoke for one turn. So basically Krau's S1. But when you have immortality, which is going to be from your S3 still, you will have a 100% chance to provoke. So basically, this is going to be just a provoke on our S1. Honestly, I think the dispel might be better in some situations, but the provoke is nice. The thing is, though, you have to keep in mind that because ELVIRA is a thief, that she is still very, very squishy. So that provoke, although it seems very nice, if she was a knight, because she's a thief, her base defenses are a little bit lower. So she might actually not want to provoke a lot of times. Maybe she wants to avoid some attacks. But with that immortality built in, maybe it's going to be good for her. Next, we're going to see that her S2 is changed. So her S2 actually will have that Dispel 1 buff. So it's AoE now. So it's pretty good. I think this is going to be very nice. The damage is increased. Now, the damage on this was pretty bad. Most of the damage came from the Beguile debuff that does 10% max HP every turn to everyone, which was very strong, which is very strong and still is. But now they're actually buffing the base damage because it was very low. You're also going to see the biggest change here is it's just going to decrease the amount of fighting spirit gained by the enemy by 100%. Before, you had to get that immortality up to decrease the fighting spirit, so you actually had to go first before like Navy Captain Landius and Abyssal Euphenes. But now if you just build her on full tank, you can just completely stop the amount of fighting spirit gained by the enemy by 100%, even if you get your S3 up late. So if you can actually just build her tanky and then have her S3 and have her very slow. And the good thing is if you do have her slow, then your immortality will last longer. Then you actually will be able to stop from dying for a longer amount of time. She still gets that effect resist, so I do believe you want her on a pretty high effect resistance build. But you also want to actually give her some bulk now if you want to build her slower, so you can actually, survive until you get your S3 off. Now you can always go fast if you want, but I think against Abyssal Euphenes and Navy Captain Landius, because they're very tanky a lot of the times and they have a lot of support, maybe this will allow you so you can build her a lot slower and more beefier and try to have a longer period to actually deal with them before they can actually start getting that fighting spirit. Now, the biggest change here is going to be on our S3. So now it has a 2-turn defense break, which is insane. Defense breaks are really good against Abyssal Euphenes and Navy Captain Landy because they're very high, bulky units that usually have a lot of defense as well. You're also going to see that this skill is now unaffected by cooldown increase and decrease effects. So now it's not just a nerf. It's actually can be a buff in some ways and not a buff. It's a buff for the first turn cycle of ELVIRA. What I mean by that is for the first 3 turns where you have immortality, it's definitely a buff. But it's going to be a nerf overall, not overall, but in a nerf in a way where you actually can't keep it up all the time. So kind of weird to say. What I'm trying to say is now you can't get countered by Noggles and Luas. Your S3 will always be available. But now you also can't use Prophetic Candlestick to reduce this cooldown. And that doesn't really matter as much because the main reason why you want an immortality on her permanently is because you wanted to decrease the fighting spirit gain. I think that's what they were going for. But now because you don't need immortality for that, I don't think this really matters too much. Honestly, if I'm being honest, overall, I think for what ELVIRA is meant to do, I think she actually got buffed in a way. But for that super cheesy immortality strategy where she's countering and unkillable, obviously it's a nerf now, you can't really do it anymore. But still, I think she is a still pretty powerful unit, to be honest, in the current meta. And I think that with these changes, she's actually going to be pretty decent for PvP. I don't think she'll be super broken, but I think now she's actually a better counter to Abyssal Euphenes and Navy Captain Landy, what she was intended to do, and other fighting spirit units. But now she doesn't have that gimmicky build where you're just, full ER, permanent immortality, and just decreasing the cooldown over and over. So I'm actually pretty happy with these changes for Elvira. I think they didn't gut her in a way she's unplayable. I think she's going to be very good in her niche still, but now she's not going to have that cheesy build. It's like a very rare situation where Smilegate actually buffed pretty well, so I'm pretty happy about this. Now, you're actually going to see with this recall coming, the recall is going to last until the 1st of February from the 18th of January. So you actually have 3 more days to actually abuse this. If you guys are stuck on Abyss Floors or you guys are doing Guild Wars in the next 3 days, you can just use ELVIRA if you have her built already on that super cheesy build, full ER, slow build that I have a video on, and you can just win. There's a lot of Abyss Floors that you can do with her. There's some that you can't because some of the boss's skills ignore effect resist, but the ones that don't, ELVIRA can actually solo those bosses, even though it takes like 2 hours, 3 hours. But if you're really stuck on a floor, you can just auto for 2-3 hours and come back and it should be done and completed. Now you're also going to see, like I mentioned, you can only get Covenant heroes that are obtainable through limited summons or collaborations. So basically you can't get Xeno, Yuna, Cirilla as well, and you cannot get like Edward Elric, you can't get like Rem, you can't get like Seaside Bellona, Midnight Galilia, stuff like that. Just units that are completely normal 5-star RGB units. And even if the selected 5-star hero is exchanged via recall and it's a duplicate hero, you will not get Covenant coins. So you will not get any Covenant coins for this. Also, if you actually recall ELVIRA, if you have memory imprints of her, you'll actually receive a memory imprint material called Slate of Fate, which can be used for memory imprinting 5-star Covenant heroes. This cannot be used on Moonlight heroes, limited heroes, or collaboration heroes as well. So it's only for those normal 5-star RGB heroes. Also, if you memory imprinted her and you just want to refund 1 copy, what you can actually do is message their customer service. Say you want the recall for 1 of them, and then you want ELVIRA back. So let's say, for example, you pulled 2 ELVIRAs. You can recall 1 and then actually keep the base ELVIRA. You just have to message the customer support and just pretty much tell them your situation, and they will actually check the logs and give you a Slate of Fate for that fresh copy of ELVIRA. And you'll also get the one that you had, right? So yeah, basically this is just a normal recall. Just kind of going to explain it how it is. So you definitely want to make sure you actually contact customer service before the end of February for this. If you're doing what I said, where you have 2 copies, you want ELVIRA back with recall. And also the recall period will last for 2 weeks after the 18th maintenance. So basically, overall, I think these changes are very, very good for the game. I'm pretty happy they decided to react very quickly. And honestly, if they can actually balance like this quickly after like an emergency happens, I think they have the capabilities and the resources to make better balance patches, no? Because I think this balance change for ELVIRA is actually very good. A lot of people were worried that they would gut 3-star artifact Prophetic Candlestick, but they actually didn't touch it. They just made it so that ELVIRA's S3 can't be affected by cooldown reduction or increases. And I think that's a very good change to make because this is very abusable with cooldown reduction, right? As we saw in the 3 days that she was played. And I really do think that they actually did a good job in making her better at what she's supposed to do or what she was intended to do, and a lot weaker at other things, but the other things that she was good at was just super toxic, so I'm pretty glad about this. So yeah, that's what I think about these balance adjustments for ELVIRA. For me personally, I don't know if I'm going to recall her. I think I might still keep her because there's not really a lot of other RGB 5-stars I want. I know a lot of people are still upset that we're not getting any bookmarks refunded. If you guys are upset about that, don't worry, I am too, but I'm kind of glad that ELVIRA ended up very good. I think they did this on purpose. They kind of secretly buffed her. Not secretly, but intentionally kind of buffed her for her role so people don't complain too much. Could you imagine if they like gutted ELVIRA and she was super bad and they didn't refund bookmarks? I think people would be a lot more frustrated. But with these changes, I think you wouldn't even want your bookmarks refunded. And some of you guys probably don't even want to recall her because she's pretty good. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this unit. I think she's going to be pretty decent. And I'm actually going to talk about, if you do choose to recall her, what units you should be getting from the recall. Basically a tier list for the normal 5-star RGB units for both PvP and PvE in the near future. So you guys can keep your eyes out for that, especially if you're new to the game and don't know what to actually trade her in for, because ELVIRA is only really going to be used for PvP now. And yeah, just curious what you guys think, so make sure you guys hit that like button, and also let me know. I think the general consensus is pretty good. I'm scrolling down here, see 2 comments, good change, good, so yeah, I'm pretty happy overall with the change. I'm not sure if everyone is, but yeah, I'll see you guys next video.